Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So, super hot outside. I thought I'd be in the studio, AC's running in the other room, and I thought I would create something kind of fun that really, if you make a mistake, it doesn't really matter. In the community, we have a group of us who are obsessed. I'm talking obsessed with crazy birds. And for those of you that don't know, Tim Holtz designed these crazy birds as stencils, and I don't know about stamps. Yeah, stamps and although it's nice, they all tend to after a while look all the same. So I thought, create my own little crazy bird, and this is also a great thing for kids to do because you get to use paint and buttons. And I'm going to throw in an experiment in here because I love to experiment. Painting a fence. And no, I'm not going to paint individual wire thingies for a fence, although that idea, taking wire and wrapping it around the masonite to create a fence, oh crap, that would be a really good idea. Okay, stay focused. So let's go onto the table just to show you what I did. I started doing some sketches, and I came up with something like this, which is pretty cool. So I made some notes as the ideas were coming to me. 5x7 upcycled masonite piece, thinking colors, a hot pink body or a bright green, single or three, so I'm thinking bristle brush, sponge body, button eyes, paint the legs, beak. I don't know what that says. Beak brand? I don't know what that says. I can't remember writing. But instead of painting the other, I want to use buttons. So I have a container of buttons, and you can mismatch the buttons. So 2 white buttons and a black button. This is a great way to dry fit the whole thing. Can use wooden buttons with use black buttons. That's kind of cool. I would still have to paint that, but I found this one here which I really like, and these buttons are kind of neat, so I'm going to use that. And for the reflective highlight, I'm just going to put some paint. So let me move these out of the way. I'm going to hang on to these. I think I want to do another piece with that. So that's really what I'm looking at, but I'm going to think about doing it a little bit bigger. No, maybe just a little bit bigger. I'm not sure yet. All right, so I'm going to put this over here so I have my reference, although if I make a mistake, who cares? So I have a piece of masonite that I used for class, and it's got some type of paint on it. So what you can do is use whatever you want. If you can accept acrylic paint, it's fine. So when you're not sure what's on there, you should wear a mask and give it a light sand, then with a damp paper towel, get rid of the dust into a garbage can, and then prime it with another coat of gesso. I can just use the back if I want to, but I know what's on here. Now, gesso you would use, and I've got the Decorat Media White Gesso to add some tooth. This is already acrylic, so I don't really have to prime it. But if I wanted to, with this here, if I was putting transparent color on here, this underlying color would show through and affect the color. So if you're not sure about the end result you're going to get, always prime with gesso just to be safe. I won't have to because I'm going to paint this whole thing with metallic paint. So watch the process so it makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this with, and I've got 2 different metallics because this was too dark, this was too light. So it's a Decoart Dazzling Metallics Zinc and Shimmering Silver. The one I wanted to use, which will be a different experiment, was, come on, gunmetal. But it's patent leather. I don't know if this will work on a regular substrate. It's made for shoes or leather type material. So that's going to be another experiment on the side. So I'm going to take the 2 and roughly equal parts, and I'm going to paint the whole thing. And I'm going to use 2 light, even coats. And because right now, outside, we're at, I think, 11 o'clock. It's 34 Celsius outside. It's our first heat event of the year, and this stuff is going to dry super fast. I won't need to use the heat gun. So I'm going to put that on there, let it dry, and then I'll I'll apply enough layers, thin even layers, so I get a complete coverage, thinking of what a fence would look like. And actually I would like to rusted fence. That would have been nice. But that's pretty just like that. And don't worry about, you know, perfectly smooth coverage, because when I show you in the next step how we're going to actually turn this into a fence, if you were really looking for a perfectly smooth finish, you wasted your time. Right? So I will see you when all the layers have been added and it's dry. All right, so this is all nice and dry now. I want to give you a tip. Now you guys probably already know this, but you know, just miraculously figured it out just a little while ago. Especially in this heat, I don't like using my heat gun to dry stuff. So I've got an old hair dryer that has a cool button. By using the hair dryer with the cool button pressed, first of all, it doesn't suck up as much electricity, but you're able to dry the stuff without putting any heat out. I just have to figure out now how to permanently tape that cool button down, because that's what I use for this here. And as well, sometimes with the heat gun, you tend to blister the acrylics. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is I have this stencil. It's a mixed media stencil from DecoArt. It's called Fenced In. And we're going to be using these paints here. So we have DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, and Titanium White for the sky. And as I bring it down a little bit, I want to cool it down, and I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to that. And with doing this, you can use a brush or you can use a cosmetic sponge. I'm going to try with a cosmetic sponge. With that there, we're going to paint over all, you know, all the metallic, and what's underneath, when you remove it, this is going to show. So that's how you paint the fence. So I'm going to bring it right down, because it's got a little wire fence here where I'm going to hang the birdie. He'll come down here. I'll make his legs long, then the body here. So that'll actually work out quite well. And I love the stencils, how they're perfectly sized for that. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll use the back of the brush just to get that in there. So what the theme, sorry, let me try that again. The color palette theme for this is going to be all in the violet side. So ultramarine blue leans towards violet, quinacridone magenta is a red that leans towards violet, white is neutral, and burnt sienna is a red orange, although it doesn't lean towards violet. It's just used to neutralize. And ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta makes a kick butt violet, but I don't want it to be too violet. I just want to make it just a little bit more on the violet side. So I'm going to make sure that that's in the right spot right there. And this is going to be framed. So I'm going to start off with more blue. I wonder if I should use a brush. But I like the finish on this. Very, very smooth, eh? Have to move it around so you don't get distinctive pattern lines. And as I work my way down, I'll pick up a little bit more of the violet and I'll overlap that while the paint is wet. Again, making sure that I'm constantly moving that around. I could use a bigger sponge, but I didn't want a lot of texture in there. You really can use anything you want. Let's just take a look. See? I love that. And then now as I go down just a little bit more, I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna in that mix, and it's put in a little bit of white. And I start at the bottom. A bit more white than that. I'm going to remove some of that excess. I forgot to pounce that off. And for those of you that have taken my landscape classes, you know that the colors I'm making is what we use in actual landscape class. You dull down the color as you work down. Let's put a bit more white in there. And as you work up, you just add a little bit more paint. And that's what creates atmospheric perspective, just by dark and then a little bit lighter. That's why when you look at mountains and paintings, that the mountains in the distance are kind of grayish sometimes, but lighter. So now doing this, what I would do next time is I would use a round sponge because I'm getting all the lines on here. Okay, put that in water, lift that up, here we go. And then to clean this, I start off, you know, this is over and above this, but baby wipe. You can do this on a journal page. Just do this to clean it. Ideally, a Tupperware container or a big plastic container filled with water. You just throw your stencils in there. That's the best thing to do. I can't do that anymore because of the animals. And but just, you know, I'll get rid of, look at that. See, right on a journal page you can use that. I'll get rid of the excess, and what I'll do is I've got water in the sink in the bathroom, and I'll just throw this in so it's ready. And any kind of hard stains that don't come out, use some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to let this dry. Now for the next step, when we start painting our little bird, you can sketch it with a pencil if you want. I would like the idea of it being more freestyle, because if you make a mistake, who cares? As long as his legs are relatively straight, you really can't go wrong with this. So it's a great project for kids as well. So I'm going to freestyle the whole thing, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's get this done because the heat's killing me. So it's all dry now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the buttons. I'm going to put them right about here. So I'm going to visualize the piece. Then I can visualize exactly where to paint his body. So I can start, you know, with a bit of a brush outline first, and then, you know, take this off just for sizing. The legs I'm going to make really long. So let's see. I can put the eyes close together if I wanted to, which actually might be a good idea. So while I'm here, I'm going to, oh, let me get a clean brush. Oh, come on. I've got some liquid glass here, and the nozzle is clogged up, and I'm going to use this as my glue. You can use anything you want, but I like the liquid glass because it's transparent. On here. Okay. And the other one, I think I had that button upside down. Oh well. So that takes care of that. So I'll let that dry. Oh, actually, no, I have to, sorry. My brain's asleep. I'm going to take some white with quinacridone magenta. Get that started there. So I'm going to think of the body. I can look at my reference material as well. So I'm going to get that going here, and this is why there really is no wrong way of doing this. So I'm thinking I want about that size. You can have the eyes go outside the body. You can have them, you know, where they stick out. You can have it where the body is rounder. I'm going to have it where the eyes stick out. So take that. I'm gonna take more quinacridone magenta and get that in like this. Keep that rough. Okay, make sure that I'm sized okay. Yep. Then I'll take the lighter mixture, quinacridone magenta with white, and I'll go in the middle here and roughly blend where the two meet. Then I'll just load white on the dirty brush. And I'm just using a bristle brush with this, and it gives the illusion of texture. Now ideally what you want to do is you want to let this dry to make sure that the blue and the fencing doesn't show through. I'm just going to add a little bit more paint here. I'm going to take a little bit more white. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess on the brush, load white only. And then pounce that. And on a dry brush as well. Okay. Let's get a little bit of a white cap here. Make sure that that still works. Yep. So he's going to have a bit of a pointy head. I can see a little bit of the blue showing up there. And the magenta being on the side, it just creates a bit of a shadow. And just by overlapping, you get a really nice textured finish. See this here, there is no real, the only wrong way what you can do is just put too much paint. If you put too much physical paint on your brush, that's really the only wrong way. And I'm working it wet on wet. Wipe out the excess and do a blend. I think I'm okay now. So while that's drying, I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm going to go into whatever paint I have left. So I've got burnt sienna with a bit of blue and a bit of magenta. Now, one thing when you're looking at these paints, I keep forgetting to mention this. If you have the color index numbers on the back, and then you've got the opacity, when you have like semi-transparent, 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 so keep that in mind that when you're painting that it's okay to add a speck of carbon black for opacity. Because I don't like using pure black because it's so harsh, but you can add a speck of black to that for opacity. So don't be afraid of doing that. So now I'm going to turn this way, and I'm going to go right here and I'm going to touch, push, drag, and then make a little V there. Touch, push. Oh, I think he's crooked and right on top of the barbed wire. That's actually pretty good. If I need to, I can go back with another strip. I'm going to leave that there. Then when this is dry, I'll come back with that mixture and I'll overlap a little bit more fur right here. Okay. And all that's left now is I have to dry this. So I'm going to go and do that right now. See how transparent it is as soon as it dries? So I'm going to come back in another layer. But I'm going to take a little bit of white in that, because now I can take this opportunity for a bit of a highlight, holding my wrist down. And if I find that this just isn't it's still transparent, I'll come back with black. We know how much I dislike orange. I'm going to use the same liner brush. Pearl orange with a bit of burnt sienna. I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to make my mark right in there. And make that like that. I'll take the buttons away so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger to make sure that it's underneath the buttons. Take a speck of white. A little highlight there. Okay. And I'm going to dry that. And once you have all this in place, you can then, make more adjustments if need be. My head's not getting in the way. There we go. Holy smokes, that's so cute. Okay, once I have that, I can turn these, but I like the way that's positioned, so I'm just going to push that down just a little bit. And so that's what it's going to be like. Oh my God. I know who's going to end up taking, who's going to, if she sees it, she's going to go, oh, I want it. My granddaughter. All right, so I'm going to take some white now with a bit more magenta. And I'm just going to go over the legs. So the fur is on top of the legs. That. And I'm going to rinse the brush. I really should get a clean brush because I don't like how dirty this is now. And then load white. Whoops, the camera's shaking, sorry. Just going to fuzz that out a little bit. Go back over with the red, or the magenta I should say. The more layers that you do of fuzz like this, the more realistic it looks. Oh, let me put a little bit of, there's a little bit of white there on his head. That's adorable, isn't it? Those of you that have been painting with me for a while, you know that this is so not me. But it's fun. It's fun. It's too hot to be serious today. Here we go. How's that? Oh, that's adorable. Oh, okay. I'm going to blot that brush. Oh, the AC just kicked in the bedroom. Oh, where do I want the highlight to be? Do I want a highlight in there? It's actually, it's the liquid glass is coming through, but I could put right there. Oh yeah, that made the difference. This is going to lighten up a little bit. And what happens if you put too much of a highlight? Just put black on top of it. So this would actually work this way. That is adorable. That way or that way. That's cute. That's so cute. I love it. And so when all this is dry, then what I can do is get a 5x7 frame, take the glass out, and then just put that in the frame and it's ready to go. With this though, what I could have done, which I probably should have done, but where you run into a risk of how the finish is going to change on metallics, and this is all about experimenting, this is how you do your experimenting, is anything that's metallic, what type of varnish do you put on there? Well, if you put an ultra matte varnish, which is super nice, are you going to lose the finish? If you put a high gloss varnish, well, I guess the point now where the painting is going to be, whoa, so vibrant that you're not going to get to see anything. The other thing you can do with this, and this is beyond the scope of this, is that if you build a little box frame around this, pour resin in there over the eye, it'll be a solid block of plastic. That's another thing that you can do. I could pour liquid glass all around here, just leave the eye sticking out. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do for experimenting. But for me, for the way it is that once this is all dry, I'm going to just leave it the way it is. I'm going to double check the eyes to make sure that they're stuck there. And I'll just leave it and frame it and it'll be ready to go. So what I would love to know is, do you prefer it being this way or this way? Let me know what you think. That's adorable. That's adorable. So yeah, so it's a great way just to, use, I mean, other than the stencil, everything I already had. The fence could have been done just with white paint, with yellow paint. The sky could have been any color. The bird could have been any color. So you don't need to go all crazy. If you don't have a stencil for this, yes, you can hand paint it, or the idea that I had, and I better write this down so I don't forget, actually use wire. But then you'd have to, how do you paint the bird on top of actual wire? You paint the bird and do a cutout and maybe do something like that. I don't know. You'd have to try. Alrighty. So comment below what you thought of this, and should I do this as a giveaway? What do you think? Ava will kill me if she finds out that I did this and didn't give it to her. Should I do this as a giveaway? Yeah, sure. Why not? All right. So the question you have to answer in order to qualify for the giveaway is face up or face down. So the way this works is you answer the question, and then in 2 weeks, Joe calls out a number. I count down the number of comments based on that number, and whoever I land on that answered the question will get this. All right? Okay, so now I'm going to have to try to figure out the idea about making the one with the wire. All right. I'm going to put everything away. Going to fire up all the ACs, cool this house down, and until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.